To say that today was a shitty day would be an understatement. So please pardon the low energy that I'm approaching this video with, but I'm trying to do my best to keep you guys updated. So there was an order today in the Lively versus Wayfarer matter, and it has to do with the request for admission that Lively sought to be admitted. So as a reminder, there were 550 plus requests for admission that Lively sought against the Wayfarer parties. A lot of them had to do with authentication of documents. There was some back and forth between the parties, some extensions of time to respond to those requests, and an overarching desire by the parties to authenticate as many documents as possible in advance of trial, so that would be one less issue that the parties have to deal with at trial. The court agreed with Lively that the responses were insufficient by Wayfarer and that they should have provided a more thorough response by the time that they had agreed with the other side to provide it. That being said, the court in its discretion thought and ordered that a short extension of time to the Wayfarer parties by Friday of this week would aid the parties in obtaining the information that they need at no prejudice to Lively. So, in summary, the Wayfarer parties are required and ordered to respond to those requests for admission by December 5th, and they shall answer the corrected version, the October 31st version, indicating each Wayfarer party whether the party admits or denies the authenticity of the identified document, or if that party lacks sufficient knowledge or information after performing a reasonable inquiry. What that means is that if I'm being sued and a document is showed to me and I'm being asked to authenticate it, as in, yes, this is an email that's in my inbox and I can't remember it, then I am required under the law to go and search to see if I can find and authenticate that document, meaning some reasonable search to be able to identify and authenticate the document. This is true for all responses for requests for admission. You have a duty as a defendant to conduct a search and try to answer the question if possible. You can't just say, no, I don't remember and move on. You have to try to find the answer. And if you still can't find the answer, then you can state as such, but you have to conduct a reasonable inquiry. However, it looks like the Lively side is not done with the discovery disputes. There's been another motion to compel today filed with respect to the privilege log. And surprise, surprise, they have to do with the signal messages. Lively is essentially saying that the signal messages that have been identified in the privilege log, so the privilege log is a document that you produce in lieu of producing privileged documents. So privileged documents are with your counsel. You would provide a log that lists the documents that would otherwise be responsive to discovery, but you're asserting a privilege, so you're not turning it over. So it has enough information to show that it's privileged, but you're not actually showing the document, the content therein. So Lively is saying, according to the privilege log, a lot of the communications there don't include counsel, so they're not really privileged, so they need to turn them over, and they have to do with signal chat. They are really digging here. It looks like they're trying to get as close to getting privileged information as possible. There's a lot redacted here, but what I can sense between the lines is that there's some communication that Wayfarer is claiming is privileged because it has to do with litigation strategy, it has to do with their case that has been dismissed. And Lively is saying, no, media strategy is not litigation, and there are some redactions here, so I'm filling in what I think is in the blanks, but we want all of those text messages that might have to do with litigation, but aren't. Doesn't seem like they are. So, interesting. They're still fighting over this. I don't know how this is going to get resolved if, for example, the signal communications don't exist because it's an ephemeral app. So I don't know how they're going to resolve this, but I suppose we will see an opposition from Wayfarer soon.